The cosmos was a graveyard of lost dreams, a scattering of broken satellites, abandoned orbital stations, and the skeletal remains of once proud spacecraft drifting silently in the void. Near the swirling expanse of the Orion Nebula, the universe had become a canvas of shattered stars and whispered legends, where humanity clung to survival on the fringes of despair. Captain Orion Vega stood on the bridge of his battle-scarred flagship, his eyes reflecting the ghostly luminescence of distant nebula. The ship's control panels glowed with urgent warnings, their red beacons a constant reminder of the chaos swirling beyond the hull. Every metallic groan and hiss of the cooling system sang a mournful dirge for a civilization that had once dominated the cosmos. The space around him was a vast battlefield, a desolate frontier where debris and derelict vessels spun in slow, silent orbits. Vega's mind wandered through memories of a vibrant Earth, now reduced to myth and sorrow, while the remnants of humanity scattered amongst the stars fought for every ounce of hope. The familiar hum of engines and the crisp mechanical cadence of crew instructions provided a fragile rhythm amid the overwhelming silence of space. As he gazed out at the endless expanse, Vega recalled the ancient adage, "In the darkness, even the smallest spark could kindle a blazing fire." And yet the vast emptiness that lay before him seemed intent on swallowing that spark whole. He felt the weight of countless souls resting on his shoulders, a heavy, unyielding burden of duty, loss, and the unbreakable will to endure. The captain's heart pulsed in tandem with the ship's slow, steady beat, a metronome counting down the moments until their next desperate maneuver. He moved with deliberate calm, his presence a quiet counterpoint to the frenetic alerts and rapid-fire orders exchanged by his crew. Each face, marked by fatigue and determination, silently pledged their loyalty to the cause of survival. They were warriors of the void, united by the unspoken promise that even in the darkest nights of space, hope would always find a way to shine. The starry vista outside was more than just a backdrop. It was a living testament to the fragility of existence. Nebulous clouds of cosmic dust mingled with the flicker of distant suns, each light year a reminder of battles fought and sacrifices made. In that profound silence, amidst the ruined relics of a bygone era, Captain Vega made a silent vow. He would steer humanity through this relentless darkness, guided by the fierce determination burning like a supernova in his soul. As the ship surged forward into the unknown, the scattered fragments of a once glorious civilization seemed to whisper ancient tales of valor and loss. The void beckoned, challenging the resolve of every man and woman aboard. And as the cosmos unfolded its mystery around him, Captain Orion Vega braced himself for the coming storm, a storm that promised to redefine the very boundaries of hope and despair. In the quiet solitude of his private quarters, far from the clamor of the bridge and the steady hum of battle, Captain Orion Vega allowed his thoughts to drift back through time. The sterile walls of his quarters, lined with relics of battles past, could not shield him from the vivid memories of a world that once pulsed with life, a world he now only knew as legend. The gentle glow of holographic images cast flickering shadows across his face as he studied a long-forgotten archive, scenes of a vibrant Earth with sprawling forests, deep blue oceans, and cities that shimmered under the sun. These images, though pixelated by the ravages of time, held the essence of a planet that had once been a cradle of hope and innovation. Yet even as they spoke of beauty and promise, they also whispered the sorrow of loss, a loss that had driven humanity into the cold, unforgiving void of space. Vega's mind wandered to the days before the collapse. He recalled a youthful exuberance, a time when Earth was more than just a memory. In his mind's eye he saw bustling marketplaces, the laughter of children in sunlit parks, and the quiet wisdom of elders sharing stories under starlit skies. There was an innocence to those days, a belief in a future unbound by the shackles of fear and despair. That future, however, was abruptly severed by calamity, a series of disasters that unspooled like a dark tapestry, leaving devastation in their wake. He remembered the frantic scramble of escape, the desperate rush of families boarding hastily constructed shuttles, and the tearful goodbyes to a world that could no longer sustain them. Each farewell had been a small death, a final severance from the land that had nurtured their dreams. The loss of Earth was more than a physical displacement. It was a wrenching severance from the very soul. Now, as he stared into the spectral echoes of his past, Captain Vega felt the weight of every unfulfilled promise and every dream deferred. The vibrant recollections of Earth were intermingled with a deep-seated resolve, a determination to ensure that the sacrifices of those who had gone before were not in vain. In the depths of his heart, he carried not only the grief of loss, but also the burning ambition to revive that lost splendor, to rebuild a semblance of the world that once was. In a quiet moment of introspection, the captain reached out and caressed a small weathered token, a faded photograph of a family smiling under a vast cerulean sky. The image, a tangible reminder of personal joy amidst collective tragedy, stirred a profound sense of responsibility within him. It was a reminder that every soul aboard his ship, every fleeting life clinging to hope in the darkness, was a living testament to Earth's legacy. The whispers of the past fueled his resolve, igniting an inner fire that would guide him through the relentless trials ahead. In that intimate space between memory and duty, Captain Vega reconciled the echoes of Earth with the stark reality of his current mission. He knew that the road forward would be paved with sacrifice, and that the legacy of his home would endure only if every ounce of courage and wisdom could be summoned. Thus, with the ghosts of a bygone era gently urging him onward, he vowed to honor the beauty and pain of his past. The heart of Earth might have been lost to the ravages of time and catastrophe, but its spirit, resilient and unyielding, lived on in him and in every soul, fighting to carve out a future among the stars. A sudden, piercing alarm shattered the fragile calm that had lulled the crew into a temporary state of wary routine. The normally steady hum of the ship's systems was replaced by an urgent chorus of beeps and electronic cries, a warning that reverberated through every metal corridor of the flagship. Captain Orion Vega's eyes snapped to the command console, where a cascade of red alerts and rapidly updating tactical data painted a grim picture. On the central holoscreen, an intricate map of deep space came alive with unsettling precision. Fleets of unidentified vessels, unlike anything humanity had encountered, surged forward in a formation that defied conventional logic. These were not the clumsy skirmishes of rogue pirates or stray remnants of failed rebellions. They were a coordinated, overwhelming force, emerging from the dark recesses of the void as if summoned by an ancient malignant will. The enemy was here and they were coming. Vega's voice, steady and resolute, cut through the mounting tension in the bridge. "Status report," he commanded, his tone leaving no room for hesitation. Officers scrambled, their fingers dancing over illuminated control panels as they relayed critical information. The enemy fleet, it turned out, was led by the unmistakable insignia of Overlord Zarthon, the legendary commander whose very name had become synonymous with terror and relentless conquest. The bridge erupted in a flurry of controlled chaos. Tactical officers delivered updates in rapid-fire succession: coordinates, battle formations, potential weak points in the human defenses. Amid the data, a palpable sense of dread mingled with determination. For every officer, the alarms were not just warnings of an external threat, but harbingers of the desperate fight for survival. In a hushed corner of the bridge, the ship's communications officer relayed a fragmented, static-filled transmission intercepted from the enemy. The distorted voice spoke of annihilation and destiny, a chilling promise that humanity's time had come to an end. The very fabric of space seemed to tremble under the weight of this ominous declaration, a declaration that sent a shiver down the spine of every crew member. Captain Vega, his gaze fixed on the advancing enemy, felt the intensity of the moment crystallize into a singular, unyielding resolve. This was no longer a distant threat looming on the horizon. It was a storm that had burst forth from the void, aiming to engulf every last remnant of human hope. His mind raced with strategies and countermeasures, yet he knew that conventional tactics would scarcely hold back the tide of such overwhelming power. "Lock down all battle stations," he ordered, his voice carrying both authority and an undercurrent of urgency that brooked no delay. The crew responded as one, their actions a symphony of disciplined efficiency born of countless drills and the shared understanding that failure was not an option. In the midst of the crisis, Every individual was a crucial link in the chain of survival, each heartbeat a defiant stand against the encroaching darkness. Outside the reinforced viewports, the starry expanse was awash with the eerie glow of approaching enemy vessels. Nebulae shifted and shimmered in unsettling patterns, as if the cosmos itself were bending to the will of the alien armada. In that moment, time seemed both to slow and to surge forward, a paradox that encapsulated the dread and adrenaline pulsing through every soul on board. With the enemy's silhouette growing ever larger against the cosmic backdrop, Captain Vega took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the universe pressing upon him. In the silence between orders and chaos, the bridge became a battleground of resolve, a place where human spirit clashed with the cold inevitability of annihilation. As the warning from the void became an undeniable reality, every crew member braced for the storm that was about to break, united in the unspoken promise that they would fight to preserve the flickering flame of humanity, even as the dark tide surged inexorably forward. In the heart of the chaos, as sirens wailed and alarms throbbed like a desperate heartbeat, Captain Orion Vega emerged from the command center, his face set in grim determination. The bridge, still electrified by the aftershock of the enemy's arrival, now buzzed with the tension of imminent battle. With the weight of humanity pressing down upon him, Vega knew that decisive action was the only beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. All hands to battle stations. Vega's command cut through the static, resonating with an authority born of countless trials. Officers and crew members shifted into a unified rhythm, their movements precise and measured, a symphony of resilience against the overwhelming threat. The captain's voice was calm yet unyielding, a steady counterpoint to the mounting chaos. In a secluded briefing chamber, away from the direct glare of combat, Vega gathered his most trusted officers around a holographic display. The luminescent blue projections danced over their determined faces, illustrating the tactical layout of the enemy fleet and the precarious state of their own defenses. At the center of this critical planning session, a magnificent design emerged, the experimental Dreadnoughts. These vessels, Vega explained, pointing to the detailed schematics suspended in mid-air, are our last and perhaps only hope. Engineered in secrecy over years of conflict, they combine cutting-edge technology with innovative defensive systems. They are our storm breakers against Zarthon's relentless forces. His eyes swept over his team, each officer absorbing the gravity of his words. The Dreadnoughts represented not only a technological marvel, but also a symbol of humanity's defiant spirit, a declaration that even on the edge of oblivion, they would fight for every life and every memory of Earth. Lieutenant Mara Solis, her voice steady and resolute, added, "Captain, the Dreadnoughts are fully armed and primed for rapid deployment. Their quantum shields can absorb and redistribute enemy energy attacks, and our experimental ion cannons have already disrupted several enemy squadrons during initial tests." Her words, laced with both technical insight and a spark of hope, provided a necessary counterpoint to the bleak data streaming in from the front line. The chamber fell silent as Vega allowed the gravity of the moment to sink in. In that silence, the crew sensed that a pivotal chapter was unfolding, a moment where ingenuity and courage would clash against overwhelming odds. Outside the confines of the briefing room, the warships of the alien armada loomed like shadows of a nightmare, their approach inevitable. But inside, the air vibrated with an energy fueled by resolve and the unspoken promise of redemption. "Every man and woman aboard this vessel," Vega continued, his voice now softer yet laden with the conviction of his mission, "carries the spirit of our lost home, the echoes of Earth that still whisper to us in the quiet moments. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for the future of every soul. We are the flame that will not be extinguished, even if the void itself conspires to snuff us out." The officers exchanged determined glances as the final preparations were made. In the hangar bay, the Dreadnoughts stood ready, massive gleaming fortresses of hope and defiance against the cosmic dark. Their hulls were etched with scars of past battles, each mark a testament to the sacrifices that had paved the way for this moment. Engineers made last-minute adjustments, and pilots strapped into their seats with a quiet determination that spoke volumes of their readiness to face the unknown. As the call to arms reverberated through the corridors of the flagship, the stage was set for an epic confrontation. With the experimental dreadnoughts at their command and the unwavering resolve of the human spirit fueling their every move, Captain Orion Vega and his crew prepared to launch a counter-offensive that would define the fate of their scattered civilization. In that charged moment, amidst the orchestrated chaos of impending battle, humanity's call to arms was not just a strategic maneuver, it was a bold proclamation of hope against the relentless night. The flagship broke free of its orbit, its engines roaring as it plunged into the chaotic tapestry of deep space. Outside, the cosmos unfolded in a surreal panorama of swirling nebulae, glittering starfields, and the distant glow of forgotten galaxies. Yet, amid this breathtaking beauty lay treacherous terrain, asteroid fields, derelict stations, and the unpredictable void that threatened to swallow them whole. Captain Orion Vega stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the approaching breach, a narrow corridor lined with massive tumbling rocks and fragments of ancient spacecraft. The space between stability and chaos was a perilous gauntlet, and his fleet's survival depended on navigating it with precision. The silence of space was broken only by the rhythmic pulse of the ship's engines and the whispered hum of onboard computers calculating every possible trajectory. "Steady as she goes," Vega murmured, his voice carrying a quiet authority over the comm channel. His words were met with focused nods from his crew, each person immersed in their role as guardians of humanity's last hope. In the control room, screens flickered with streams of data as tactical officers monitored the debris field, their fingers dancing over holographic control and a frantic ballet of calculations and adjustments. Lieutenant Morrison, stationed at the tactical interface, called out the first readings. "Captain, our sensors indicate a dense cluster ahead. We're looking at potential collision risks, asteroid fragments moving unpredictably." Her tone was professional, yet every syllable underscored the gravity of the situation. "I recommend a course correction to mitigate the risk. Adjust course by 3.7 degrees starboard, and reduce speed by 12%, Vega ordered calmly. His decision was swift, born of countless hours of training and the pressure of leadership. As the flagship obeyed, its hull shuddered against the strain of evasive maneuvers, a physical reminder of the battle that lay ahead, not one of blasters and dreadnoughts, but of survival against the indifferent might of the cosmos. In the vast expanse of the breach, time became a malleable. Seconds stretched into a heartbeat, each moment fraught with the potential for disaster. Crew members exchanged glances in the dim light of the bridge, a silent communion of shared determination and underlying anxiety. The radio crackled with intermittent static, punctuating the focused silence with fragments of distant communications, echoes from other vessels trapped in the perilous zone. Amid the tension, small conversations emerged, brief exchanges that revealed the human side of a crew hardened by war. "Watch that cluster on the port side," an engineer advised from his station, his voice betraying a hint of concern, despite his steady hands. "Keep an eye on the quantum drive readings. We can't afford another hiccup in the propulsion system." His words, though technical, carried the weight of countless past miscalculations and near misses. As the flagship inched deeper into the breach, the scenery outside transformed into a surreal dance of light and shadow. The colossal fragments of rock and metal loomed like ancient monuments, relics of a forgotten cosmic cataclysm. Each pass-by was a reminder of the harsh realities of space, a realm where beauty and peril coexisted in an eternal, unforgiving embrace. In the midst of this hazardous journey, Captain Vega allowed himself a brief moment of introspection. The breach was not just a physical obstacle, it was symbolic of the trials humanity had faced since its exodus from Earth. Each perilous twist and sudden jolt echoed the unpredictable nature of existence, the constant interplay between hope and despair. In that fleeting thought, Vega reaffirmed his commitment, not only to the mission at hand, but to every soul who board his vessel, whose lives depended on his steady hand and unwavering resolve. Finally,
After what felt like an eternity suspended in uncertainty, the flagship emerged from the breach. The path ahead, though still fraught with danger, opened into the heart of the conflict zone, a vast battleground where the fate of humanity would be written in the stars. As the crew exhaled in collective relief, Captain Vega's gaze turned resolutely toward the horizon of looming war. Their journey through the breach had not only tested their mettle, but had united them in a shared promise to face the darkness together no matter the cost.
The cosmos erupted into chaos as the flagship plunged into the heart of battle. In the vast theater of space, where the stars themselves seemed to pulse with the fury of conflict, desperate maneuvers unfolded with a breathtaking intensity. The enemy fleet, a phalanx of cold alien precision, pressed their relentless advance, forcing Captain Orion Vega and his crew to respond with audacious, high-stakes tactics. In the command center, every display flickered with vital data, a visual symphony of tactical information. Vega's eyes darted between rapidly updating holographic maps and the tense faces of his officers. The bridge was transformed into a battleground of wits and reflexes, where every second demanded split-second decisions. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," he barked, his voice a clarion call amid the cacophony of beeps and alerts. The flagship shuddered as it deftly wove through a barrage of enemy fire. Ion cannons and energy pulses seared the void, leaving trails of light against the black backdrop of space. In this deadly ballet, every maneuver was a calculated risk, a moment where one misstep could spell annihilation. The experimental dreadnoughts, poised like slumbering titans on the periphery of the fleet, began to stir with the promise of unleashed power. Their silent engines roared to life, heralding a shift from desperate evasion to bold counteroffensive. Lieutenant Mara Sullis, her hands steady on the tactical console, coordinated the defensive grid. "Captain, we're taking heavy fire from the starboard flank. Shields are straining under the impact of continuous energy bursts," she reported, her tone clipped with urgency. Vega's jaw tightened as he quickly evaluated the new threat. "Redirect auxiliary power to shields and open a channel to the dreadnoughts. Now," he commanded, his words punctuating the relentless rhythm of the chaos. Across the battlefield, the dreadnoughts began their advance, massive armored behemoths built for war. They surged forward with a calculated grace, their quantum shields absorbing the brunt of the enemy's initial assault. As they emerged from the darkness, a spark of hope kindled within the hearts of the human fighters. The sight of these mechanical leviathans breaking the enemy's momentum was both awe-inspiring and a testament to the ingenuity born of desperation. Amid the relentless barrage, moments of human valor shone like stars. Engineers and gunners, with nerves of steel and hearts fortified by resolve, worked in near-perfect synchrony. A navigator's deft adjustments steered the flagship clear of an oncoming barrage of debris, a dance of survival choreographed against the backdrop of an interstellar war zone. Sparks flew from panels and consoles as systems strained under the pressure, but every crisis was met with an unyielding determination to endure. On the bridge, the atmosphere was electric with tension and purpose. The captain's voice, both commanding and reassuring, resonated through the comm channel. "This is our moment. We may be on the edge, but we are not done. Every sacrifice, every maneuver is a testament to the indomitable spirit of our people. Stand firm." His words fueled the crew's resolve, transforming fear into a potent force of unity and defiance. In the midst of the frantic exchanges, a critical decision emerged. The flagship, battered yet unbowed, veered sharply to launch a daring counterattack. With calculated precision, Vega initiated a coordinated strike, directing the dreadnoughts to breach the enemy formation and sow chaos among their ranks. The ensuing spectacle was one of raw, desperate brilliance. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, missiles carved luminous arcs through darkness, and for a fleeting moment, the tide of battle shifted in humanity's favor. Yet, the cost of these maneuvers was steep. The shield grids flickered under sustained impact, and the echoes of near misses reverberated like thunder through the vessel. Every maneuver carried the weight of potential finality, each decision a gamble with lives hanging in the balance. Still, as the enemy formation began to fracture under the onslaught, a palpable surge of hope electrified the crew. The Dreadnoughts had not only disrupted the alien phalanx, but had also rekindled the embers of a fading hope. As the chapter of desperate maneuvers drew to a close, Captain Vega's steely gaze swept over the tumultuous scene on the bridge. In that moment, amidst the scars of battle and the sparks of defiance, he realized that survival was not guaranteed, but neither was surrender. The valor of his crew, the brilliance of their maneuvers, and the unyielding resolve to fight on were the true weapons against the encroaching darkness. In this interstellar crucible, humanity was writing its fate with every desperate, courageous move. The vast theater of space transformed into a battleground of mythic proportions. Amidst the blazing trails of energy and the cacophony of exploding debris, Captain Orion Vega's flagship and the alien dreadnoughts surged forward into a final confrontation. It was here, in the heart of chaos, that fate had drawn the two titanic forces into an inevitable clash. A surge of raw energy emanated from the enemy flagship, its dark silhouette outlined against the fury of distant supernova. At its helm, Overlord Zarthon, whose very presence radiated cold, merciless authority, observed the unfolding carnage with an inscrutable gaze. His voice, modulated and precise, crackled through the void, addressing Captain Vega in tones laced with both challenge and disdain. "You persist in your defiance, human," Zarthon intoned, his words echoing like a death knell across the battlefield. "You fight for a lost cause, clinging to memories of a fragile world. Today, you shall learn the futility of hope." Vega's response was measured, a calm amid the storm. "Hope is our inheritance, Overlord. It is the spark that has lit our journey through darkness, and it will be the light that guides us to victory." His words cut through the tension like a blade, reaffirming his unwavering resolve. In that charged moment, the stage was set. The experimental dreadnoughts roared into action, their colossal forms intercepting the enemy's relentless barrage. The clash of titanic vessels sent ripples through the fabric of space, a dance of defiance where every beam, every pulse of energy carried the weight of entire civilizations. As the two fleets engaged in a ballet of destruction, the duel between Vega and Zarthon crystallized into a battle of wills, each representing a stark, unyielding vision of destiny. Amid the chaos, a critical moment emerged when the flagship veered into a narrow corridor between shattered remnants of ancient space stations. It was here that fate chose to pit Captain Vega and Overlord Zarthon in a direct encounter. Through the reinforced viewport, Vega beheld his enemy, a figure cloaked in shadows and menace, standing resolute on his command deck, as if daring the cosmos to defy his dominion. A burst of ion energy illuminated the scene, and the two adversaries exchanged a final searing glance. In a rapid succession of orders and counter-orders transmitted through secure channels, the very fabric of the battle shifted. Vega's dreadnoughts unleashed a devastating salvo, each shot a calculated defiance against the oppressive might of Zarthon's armada. Energy arcs collided in brilliant explosions that lit the void, turning the battlefield into a canvas of valor and ruin. As the alien commander activated his own countermeasures, the ensuing chaos took on an almost surreal quality. Debris spun like fragments of shattered dreams, while the residual echoes of battle melded with the thundering pulse of determined hearts. In the midst of this fury, both leaders, embodiments of their respective people's resolve, clashed not just in strategy but in the very spirit of their convictions. Their verbal sparring, transmitted in terse bursts over the comm channel, wove together the tapestry of an ideological struggle, the bitter inevitability of tyranny versus the enduring fire of hope. "Your end is written in the void, Vega," Zarthon declared, his tone betraying a rare flicker of arrogance. "Surrender to the inevitable, and your people may yet find mercy." Captain Vega's reply was resolute, each syllable carrying the weight of 1,000 lost souls. "I do not surrender, Overlord. I fight not for myself, but for every dream, every memory of Earth, and every life that refuses to be extinguished. Today, humanity's spirit will outlast your reign of terror." In that electric moment, The clash of titans reached its zenith. The enemy's flagship shuddered under the relentless assault, and sparks of defiant hope erupted as critical systems began to fail. The tide turned with a decisive, almost poetic inevitability. The combined might of human innovation and unyielding courage forced Zarthon's formation into disarray. Amid the ruin and roaring chaos, the battle's outcome seemed to pivot on the choices made in these fleeting seconds. As the last volleys of energy dissipated into the silence of space, both fleets staggered in the aftermath of fragile balance between ruin and resurgence. Captain Vega, his eyes still locked on the smoldering remains of the enemy flagship, allowed himself a brief, grim smile. In the heart of that titanic clash, he had reaffirmed the truth that had carried humanity thus far, that even in the darkest void, hope could ignite a rebellion of stars. The confrontation between two colossal wills had reshaped the battlefield. The clash of titans was not merely a contest of firepower, but a testament to the unyielding spirit of beings determined to chart their own destinies, even against the overwhelming forces of annihilation. The void gradually settled into a heavy silence, as if the universe itself exhaled a long-held breath. In the aftermath of the titanic clash, where the remnants of shattered enemy vessels and the scars of battle floated among the stars, Captain Orion Vega surveyed the scene with a mixture of solemn relief and introspective resolve. The battlefield had been transformed into a graveyard of once mighty machines, a silent testament to the price of survival. The flagship's corridors, usually humming with the tension of imminent combat, now carried a subdued, reflective cadence. Crew members moved slowly, their faces etched with both the fatigue of relentless struggle and the quiet pride of having withstood the tempest. In makeshift memorials amid the debris and damaged consoles, small tokens, photographs, trinkets, and personal mementos spoke silently of the lives lost, of dreams deferred, and of the enduring spark of human resilience. Captain Vega found solace in the solitude of the command bridge. There, amidst dimmed lights and lingering echoes of the battle, he allowed his thoughts to wander through the labyrinth of memory and hope. He recalled the sacrifices that had paved the way to this fragile victory, the courageous souls who had bled and fought for a future that until that moment seemed all but lost. Their memories, luminous and bittersweet, kindled a quiet determination within him to rebuild what the war had so nearly extinguished. Outside the viewport, the cosmos was slowly reclaiming its indifferent majesty. The Orion Nebula glowed softly in the distance, a celestial beacon that had witnessed both the despair of conflict and the emergence of hope. Amid the scattered fragments of enemy warships, the experimental dreadnoughts glimmered like steadfast citadels of defiance. Their imposing silhouettes, now softened by the gentle light of distant stars, promised not only protection but the potential for a new beginning. Within the flagship, a hushed optimism began to take root. Engineers and strategists, once frantically recalibrating systems under duress, now engaged in discussions about repair, renewal, and the rekindling of a once great legacy. The conversation shifted from immediate survival to long-term vision, a future where the echoes of Earth's lost splendor could be reborn amid the cosmos. In every whispered plan and every determined glance, there lay the unmistakable spark of rebirth. As Captain Vega gathered his officers for one final debriefing, the room resonated with a tempered hope that belied the devastation of their recent trials. His voice, measured and imbued with a quiet conviction, filled the space. Today we have not only defended our existence but ignited the first flame of a renewed humanity, he declared. Our journey is far from over, but in this victory, hard-earned and bittersweet, we have taken our first steps toward reclaiming what was lost. We honor our fallen by building a future where their dreams can soar free among the stars. In that defining moment, the bridge became a sanctuary of promise, where the scars of the past merged with the aspirations of tomorrow. The silent chorus of distant stars offered a gentle reassurance, a cosmic reminder that even in darkness light could prevail. The resilient spirit of the human race, tested by fire and tempered in the crucible of war, shone through with a brilliance that no enemy could ever extinguish. With hearts buoyed by newfound resolve, the survivors of that fierce conflict prepared to chart a course into the uncertain horizon. Their ships, though battered, were symbols of enduring hope, and their minds were filled with the resolve to rebuild, to remember, and to honor the legacy of all who had given their lives for the future. And as the flagship sailed onward through the silent infinite expanse, a quiet promise echoed in the vast darkness, a promise that from the ashes of defeat, the flame of humanity would rise once again, burning brighter than ever before.